And I just turned around and I hauled ass out of there. I was done. I wasn't dealing with that.
The hypocrisy of the cult is one of the things that turned me away the quickest.
When I turned my headlights on, it turned and looked at us. And one of the things I remember the most were the eyes were glowing red.
I see an orb of light. It is just circling these steps like it is waiting for me.
And he begins to tell them that he saw a UFO. They're basically like, what are you talking about? That's 7 foot up on a tree, peeking around it. And that's where I saw the top of the muzzle, nose, and the eyes. As soon as I made eye contact with this thing, it felt like death.
Welcome back to Tinfoil Tales. I'm your host, Brandon Wright. Tonight's episode, we're going to be joined by my guests, Tina and Alex. They are from Phantom Paranormal out of Wisconsin. They reached out to me a while ago to come on here and share some of their experiences. Before we bring them on, if you've ever had an experience or story you'd like to share, please reach out to tinfoiltalespodcast@gmail.com. We'll get you scheduled for a future episode. You can also go to tinfoiltales.com and go to the contact section. That'll get your message directed to me as well. Either way works, so just do what you got to do. We'll get something set up for a future episode. If you'd like to help the podcast to continue to grow, please continue to share it. The word of mouth is what helps the podcast continue to find new listeners, potential new guests to come on here and share their experiences. I appreciate all of you that continues to share it around. You can also leave a 5-star review wherever you listen to podcast at. And if you write out one, I will read it and give you guys a shout out. The 5-star reviews helps with the ranking, so it's definitely appreciated too. If you'd like to join the Patreon, you get early access to all of the new episodes once they're recorded, plus they're all ad-free. And there will be some bonus content on there too. It's worth checking out. It's only $1.99 a month. If joining the Patreon is not something you're interested in, but you'd still like to help the podcast, there is a donate button. It's down in the show notes. Make sure to click that. And if you do happen to donate, let me know, and I will give you a shout out on a future episode. Make sure to follow us on all the social medias. There is a new Facebook profile out there for me. It's called Brandon Tinfoil Tales. If you happen to see it on there, make sure to add me. We can discuss some of your experiences if you want to. You can also reach out to me that way about booking an episode of Tinfoil Tales. But I think now we're going to go ahead and bring Tina and Alex on. I've been looking forward to talking with them. We had something scheduled prior and had to rearrange it, but got to work out. Hope you guys know what we're going to talk about. So sit back, relax, and enjoy the show. I'd like to take this time to welcome my guests tonight, Tina and Alex. Thanks for coming on here and talking with me.
No problem.
Nice to be here.
You guys are from Illinois, I believe.
Wisconsin.
Oh, Wisconsin.
Just a little bit north.
Yeah. I knew it wasn't too terribly far. I'm from Indiana, so.
Oh, you're not
Yeah.
far off either.
Yeah. I knew you were just on the other side of the time zone because you guys are on Central Time and I'm on Eastern Time. But if you go a couple counties up, they're on Central Time. It's weird. I usually work in Central Time.
Yeah, it's a very confusing state right there in some spots.
Yeah. When you get up towards northwestern part of Indiana, it goes into Central Time, but the rest of the state, unless you're like down south, I think, is all Eastern Time.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah.
Time zones are fun to deal with sometimes.
Especially when you're based out of a different one from where you actually live. That's
Where am I? Where am I?
Yeah.
What time is it again? God darn, I gotta get 2 hours early for work.
Yeah. My job sites are usually in Central Time Zone, so I have a meeting next week and they're like, you meet at 11 or 1:30. I was like, yeah, it's 2:30 my time, but sure, why not?
Well, I got a friend over there in Indiana that when he calls me up, he's like, what time is it there again? I'm like,
Yeah.
oh, yeah, we're an hour behind you.
Yeah. Well, a little bit about your guys' selves.
Well, we're Phantom Paranormal. We're a 2-person team. I'm the lead investigator, the founder of it.
I'm also a medium and a paranormal investigator, obviously. I realized I was a medium when I was about 4 or 5 years old, somewhere around there. And I would talk to my great grandfather in a mirror. At first, I would just feel him around, then I'd see him, and then I could talk to him. And I can hear, see, and feel spirits around me. I grew up in Salt Lake City, Utah, and I moved to Delavan, Wisconsin in 1998. My family has a lot of people that are very intuitive. We don't really talk about it much in the family, but I decided to start this Phantom Paranormal and just go with it after my mom passed away. She thought it would be a good idea for me to do it, so I just ran with it when she passed away. Um, Basically, I just feel what's around me, investigate, and do what I gotta do to get the job done.
Yeah, my name is Alex Droner. I grew up in Delavan, Wisconsin. I just basically, the house I grew up in had other people living there that weren't people. So we'd hear things. My mother saw somebody standing in the hallway once. My grandmother saw somebody standing in the hallway. And I've just always been drawn to that kind of thing, never been afraid of it. And one day I was reading on Facebook, anyone want to come out and come and investigate a mausoleum? And I was like, heck yeah. So that's what we did. That's how it started. We've been investigated, dozens of places since then. And sky's the limit. We'll see what happens. We're trying to get proof.
Yeah, basically, we did the mausoleum, and after that, I just decided to ask him to be on my team and pretty much let everybody else go. Now it's just me and Alex,
Hmm.
and he became my business partner.
Last man standing.
No.
Sometimes
Well,
if you're brave enough to go into the rooms,
Yeah, if you're brave enough to go in there when I tell you to and to stay in there, then it's all good.
has there been anything like I don't know how to try and word it properly, but like anything that really stood out on some of the investigations that really made you afraid or question what was going on?
The thing that got me a little nervous was one of the investigations. Tina looked at me and said, "We have to get going," and the reason was because she had been starting to been overcome with the urge to want to hurt me.
Hmm.
Yeah, it's our job is fun sometimes.
I remember that vividly. So we were in Indiana and we were asked to do an apartment and we were able to go into the basement. When we walked into the basement, there's a certain area that was calling to me. So we went in there and there just happened to be a horseshoe hanging on the wall on like a beam. So Alex first picked it up. He's like, I don't feel anything. I was like, let me see the horseshoe. I held it in my hand and something just drew me to it. And I started spinning it in my hand, looking at it. Finally, we stopped messing with the horseshoe and I just felt kind of weird. And then all of a sudden, I just wanted to bash Alex's face in with the horseshoe. And I was like, we need to get out of here right now. Because I know when you feel that way, angry like that, and want to hurt somebody, you're being overcome by something. And the best way to get out of that situation is to go outside, out of the place that you're in.
Yeah, I've heard something similar too. I don't take too much stock in the stuff you see on TV, but it seems like when you watch these shows or whatever and they get overwhelmed with like these negative spirits or energies or whatever and they get that way, they always end up feeling better when they leave the area.
Yeah, because it really just clears you. It doesn't cleanse you, but it really just it helps. It really does. It really helps.
I've never been in a situation where I felt anything like that. I'm not much of an investigator. I went on a couple different things with a group or two, but I've mentioned it before on other episodes. Everything that was paranormal, 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 and I look at things more skeptically before I say anything's weird or paranormal or supernatural. And I just don't think you're going to go somewhere and constantly be overwhelmed by ghosts or spirits or something like that. Like everything to them was a ghost, and I was like, it just kind of rubbed me the wrong way. And I've never went back on like investigations or anything because kind of a chicken when it comes to I don't want to bring stuff home with me that I didn't intend to have with me.
It's always really, really good to cleanse yourself after you do an investigation, because that way you don't bring anything home with you.
Mm-hmm. So we deal with enough weird stuff around the house these days. I don't want to be trying to bring anything else in here either. So
Oh, that's probably a good idea too.
I hear that.
yeah,
I totally understand.
but no, if there's anything you guys want to share or dive into, it's totally up to you guys where you want to go with it.
Just maybe that we can talk about that place we went to where we heard the Indian.
Oh yeah, that was a good one. Do you want to start with that one or should I?
Well, you go right ahead with that one.
Okay, we decided to go to an area. What was the area again?
It was just down the road from where we live. It's in Delavan, just outside of town. The stories of a certain amount of people dying there. Couldn't quite hear an exact number, but it was more than like two or three. And we just kind of went there one day and decided we wanted to check it out. And as soon as we got out there, we started walking around, and Tina felt the spirits right away.
Yeah, I felt like right away, I was like, it's getting colder for one around me. And then I could feel them instantly right when I got out of the car. And I could feel them looking at me. It was so weird. And I was like, they're just sitting there watching us. And then all of a sudden, I told Alex, I was like, there's one right here. So he grabbed the EMF reader and put it next to me, and it showed him that there was something next to me. And then he moved it away, and it went away. And he moved it back, and it showed that there was something next to me. And then he walked away from me, and I was walking around in a different area. And then I decided to walk towards him, and we were standing together. And we were just standing there.
And yeah, and then all of a sudden we're sitting there, and off in the distance, I heard what sounded like Indian drums.
And I asked him, I was like, did you hear that? Because I seriously thought I was, because sometimes I'm like, I always ask that. I'm like, did you hear that?
Oh, there are certain things that I don't hear that she does because she's more in tune with everything than I am. And then we heard him again, and we started walking. We kept walking towards him. Then all of a sudden, she had this strong pull to walk away from there. And so we started heading back towards the car. And then when we got closer to the car, she started speaking with one of the spirit that was there. And that it just looked like somebody having a conversation. It was really interesting to see. And then she was talking with this guy what did he look like again? He is
like the 1950s, 1960s area.
Little button-up shirt kind of.
Yeah, little button-up shirt, like one of those funky hats they used to wear with like the suspender thing.
Picturing like a fedora.
Yeah, it was really weird. He came up to me and he was talking to me about how he didn't want anyone to hurt him. He just wanted to talk, and he wanted to have us come back on a full moon, which I found kind of weird, but that's usually when the spirits are the strongest.
Yeah, so it was a very interesting evening for that one. Yeah, and we still have yet to get back over there. We're going to be back over there soon, hopefully.
How long ago was this?
It's about a month, give or take.
Maybe a month ago.
So relatively recently.
Yeah, that was the one we just did.
Now, you said the full moon. I've heard that before. You want to explain why the full moon makes spirits more active? Do you have any ideas why?
It's basically when the spiritual world is the strongest. Everything is aligned, and the moon charges stuff like crystals and stuff like that. So you got to realize when you're dealing with the spiritual world, there's all kinds of reasons why the full moon could affect that.
And of course, the dogs in the neighborhood.
Sorry about that.
No, you're all right. I don't hear anything.
Nice.
Oh, okay, cool.
I use Zoom, and for the most part, it kind of filters out background noise with the settings I have on, so it's all good.
Oh, very
Oh, cool.
Very cool. Yeah, and it's just, well, that's what it usually seems like. They have the most power, and that's when, well, you can also see the most when you're out there, when you're investigating in the dark and everything too, so that helps.
Yeah.
So full moon helps out us too, so not just the undead.
You can see it a little bit better with an extra light out there, I guess.
Yeah, because I'm more worried about hurting myself when we're on these investigations, like tripping over something I don't notice, hitting my head into a pipe in the basement that everyone can hear upstairs.
People don't realize when you're using night vision cameras, you can't really see that far away. You're looking down and you can see your feet. You look forward, you can see only so far ahead of you.
It's weird.
It's like walking in a tunnel.
It's weird for me because I don't feel like I would be afraid of running into anything strange, like a spirit or energy, or even people say demonic stuff. So that, for whatever reason, that doesn't make me afraid. I'm more concerned with running into things that I do know exist, like big freaking bugs and spiders and stuff.
Oh yeah.
Oh my gosh.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah.
I have a story about that. So when we were in Indiana, when we decided to go in the basement, we walked down to the basement, and Alex and our friend Rusty decided to walk in front of me, and I'm like, okay. And they walk right past it, right? I look down and there's this big freaking cricket spider. I about jumped out of my freaking skin. I was like, what the heck is that? And they told me I about ran away like a 2-year-old. That is horrifying. But the next time we went there, because we went there again, I decided to crawl in a small hole. So it doesn't really make sense, but I do it anyway.
Yeah, that's the other thing I wouldn't do. I'm kind of claustrophobic. I don't like being in enclosed, tight little spaces or anything like that. So,
that's where I tell her where I draw the line. If I feel like I'm going to get stuck, I'm not going in it.
He was like, you can go in there and I'll pull you out.
Yeah, I'm a big dude. I'll grab her foot and yank her out. I'm good with that.
now, for work purposes, a couple of years ago, one of the jobs that I was assigned to, the people wanted me to go down inside of this old, it was a manhole for wiring, and there's like lines and stuff that they ran through there, and it's like drains and stuff. And I said, I am not going in there. They're like, well, you need to go in there and investigate. It's like, that is not a part of my job, and I am not doing it.
Yeah, no doubt.
I completely refuse to do it, and I will not do it. So
you know where your limits are.
Yep.
You're like, how about we say I did, but
there's somebody else out there.
That's not to sound like a egotistical maniac, but that's below my pay grade. Like, there's someone else that can go do that. So
yeah, no doubt.
Like, I run.
You're like, how about he goes and does it?
Yeah.
Yeah, we'll have somebody else do that one today. I get you on that one for sure.
Yeah. I run the jobs, I run the contracts, everything else. So like, someone else can handle it. I don't need to be the one doing it.
Yeah, no
It'll
doubt.
be like, that guy got hired yesterday. Have him do it.
But that like I said, that's where I draw my limits when it comes to bugs and creepy spaces and stuff like that. I'm out. I'll punch a demon in the face. I don't care. But if a spider jumps on me, I'm gonna freak out, probably die.
Yeah, that's why she has me with, because I just like knock the spider to the ground. I don't care about him.
I literally, I really don't like bugs. So when I see them, I freak out. I don't like running into like water heaters and stuff like that, because there's usually a hole or something next to it. And I'm always scared I'm going to go through a hole or stick my foot through a hole or something like that. And, you know, it can be pretty scary sometimes, but you just got to watch what you're doing. And you got to make sure you got your camera pointed the way you're looking to make sure, and towards the floor, you know, to make sure you know what's in front of you so you don't hurt yourself.
Yeah, I feel like a lot of the old places that people go and investigate too, if they're not well maintained, you don't ever know what's going to happen. You step on the wrong floorboard, and the next thing you know, you're going to be in the floor underneath of you.
Exactly.
That's just a quick elevator.
Quick
That's
elevator and trip to the hospital.
Going down.
that's the speed elevator with the broken leg at the bottom of it. Oh man, I hope that never happens to us.
Oh my
I
gosh.
could carry her out, but she couldn't carry me out of it anywhere, so we're in trouble at that point.
I know, I'm just a little McNugget.
Is there anything else that really stands out about what you've investigated that you'd like to talk about?
Oh yeah, there was one investigation I did a little before Alex joined me. I was doing a theater in Delavan, and I was sitting on stage, just sitting there with a buddy of mine that was helping me investigate at the time. We were just sitting there doing EVPs. We were just talking for a moment, and we heard a voice. He looked at me, I looked at him, I was like, you realize we're in this theater alone. And it's a big theater, big building, and we're the only two in there. We're locked in. And we decided to play the EVP recorder right away. We were listening to it, we heard ourselves talking, we heard like metal dragging. But then all of a sudden we hear, get out of my house. I was like, oh my gosh. That stood out a lot to me because of the way the voice was. It was really demonic and cruel, but we weren't able to cleanse the theater because it's so big and it was under construction at the time as well. So it just, when we went upstairs that night, we were talking and walking through the area, and it used to be 3 apartments, and they knocked down walls and made it one big area except for a couple of rooms. We went into one of the rooms and noticed there was a bunch of what are they, old man clocks? Or are they, what is that? What
No,
grandfather clocks. Yeah, grandfather clocks. We're just sitting there, and we walked out of the room, and about an hour later, maybe an hour and a half later, I was getting frustrated because all I felt was cold spots. I could feel them around me. I decided to say, I was like, show me that you're here. I was like, right now, I can tell you're here. Show me that you're here. All of a sudden, all the grandfather clocks go off at the same time. All of them. And it didn't just go off for like 1 ding, 5 dings, 12 dings, whatever. It went on for 5 minutes. They did not stop for 5 minutes. To the exact minute. I walked in there, all the clocks had different times on them.
That's
nothing fun like
strange.
that ever happens when I'm there.
I'd say that's strange.
Yeah, it really was. I have it on an EVP file on my computer. And every time I listen to it, it sends tingles up my spine because it's just so weird.
Yeah, I bet. If there's any
The fact
EVPs
that,
that you have still and you would want to include them, you can always email them to me and I can add them into the episode for anyone listening.
okay, I'll look through and see what I can send you.
Yeah, I can interweave them here within the episode that way. And it gives the listeners an idea of some of the things you've encountered and experienced and captured.
Okay.
I don't do a whole lot of editing. I might adjust some audio here and there, but when it comes to interweaving, I am really used to messing with recording stuff because I've always done music. That's the reason I have all my recording stuff anyways, because of doing band stuff. So cutting and splicing and interweaving stuff and putting stuff in there, it literally takes me like no time. I know some people spend like hours upon hours editing. I was like, I can do all that in like 10 minutes.
Oh, so now you're just bragging.
Yeah, you're bragging.
Humble brag.
Yeah.
No, I go back and listen to my earlier episodes when I was out in my garage and the sound quality was awful just because the echoey noises and everything else. But now I've got everything kind of set up a little bit better, and I've got settings set up on Zoom and on my microphone and everything. So I have ways to make things sound better. Doing this for almost a little over a year and a half now, I've been able to get some pretty decent sound quality going on, I think.
Oh, that's awesome.
Well, you sound good on this end.
Yeah, really good on this.
Better than the ones sometimes we've heard.
I try. That's my little quirk, I guess, is I want to make sure my quality sounds good, and if I can sound better than the next guy, like, well, I sound better than the next guy. I guess it gives me a
Heck
little
yeah.
pat on the back. That's just my
Well, it
own
sounds
little
like you're
thing.
right here in here with us too.
Yeah, it does.
Well, not to bore the audience or anything, but I've spent a decent amount of money here in the last year or so just to make, because I've had this microphone for a long time. The microphone itself was like $500 studio mic, but I bought that for band purposes. And I just spent $100 and something on 6 foot of cable just to run my microphone cords. I found the most expensive ones. They claim they're the best rated. They're gold plated. I was like, oh, so $110 later, I have 6 feet of mic cable that I'm using. And
Sweet.
I've got a different little thing for my microphone input. And there's just little things I've been able to figure out that makes things sound a little bit better. So,
Well, that works. Yeah, I remember back in the day getting the expensive, like gold-plated monster cables or whatever.
that's basically what these are. I think they're called Megami, but
There you go.
but they're gold plated, and each cable is like 60 something dollars, I think.
Well, it's like with our end too. That if you use the super cheap equipment, you might not pick up on something. You use the better stuff, you're gonna pick up on more things and hear more things.
Yeah, the cheaper the product, you basically buy what you get.
Yeah, get what
You
you buy.
get what you buy. Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, especially with like EVP recorders, EMF readers, because the cheaper the EMF reader is, you're not going to get the results you want.
Yeah,
You want to go high priced on those, definitely.
you just gotta pick it up and
Yeah, yeah, because otherwise they're really not gonna show you what you want. We have a cheaper one, and then we have a really high tech one, and the cheaper one won't show what the high tech one will show.
hmm I think, and I don't know much about this, but have you heard anything about radionics, those type of devices or anything like that?
I personally haven't.
Radionics. No, not really. I don't think.
Okay. I can talk to you off air about it.
Okay. What we use all kinds of different devices. We use like night vision cameras, we use GoPro, we use EMF readers, EVP recorders, motion light sensors, um, motion detection lights,
All those little fun little stuff to pick up the
bionic ear, all kinds of stuff.
Those are fun, especially when you're
Yeah.
a little hard of hearing.
We also have an Obulus, which is a ghost dictionary. They can choose words out of it to communicate with you. That's really cool. And you get to piece together what they're talking to you about.
Mhm.
That's Alex's favorite one.
That's a lot of fun.
My favorite one would have to be the EVP recorder or the Obulus too. That one really helps a lot.
Yeah, there's a lot of different things. I've looked online for equipment. Part of me has always wanted to go out and do it, but at the same time, it's like what I'd said earlier is I'm afraid to do it in the sense of I don't know what I'm going to be bringing back, and I'm not a very religious person. I'm not a very spiritual person or anything like that. So I'm going to go out there and probably piss something off, and I don't know what it's going to do when I come back home. If it's going to follow me home to torment me.
It's the risk I take every investigation, sir.
Yeah.
I'm kind of a smart ass.
I just go in there all like just inviting everything in so I could feel everything. Because if I don't, it'll block certain things out and I won't be able to feel all the spirits, all the energy around me. I won't be able to see everything they're trying to show me. Won't be able to hear everything they're trying to say. So I really have to open myself up to the spiritual world and not be afraid of it.
No, I don't. Like I said, I've experienced some weird things. We've had some weird things very, very recently going on around here, and I don't know. I'm not gonna come out there and say it's all paranormal or anything like that, but there's been a lot of weird stuff that's happened, and I don't want to keep rocking that boat. If that makes any sense. Like
Well,
I have
there's
enough shit going on here that I don't want to mess with it.
yeah, there's one time I had a ghost tour in Delavan that they want me to bring back, but I was doing a ghost tour in Delavan. We were walking down the last part of the tour and we were saying goodbye to everybody. We decided to go sit on the steps after we talked to everybody of the library. We were sitting there and I don't remember it, but my partner of the ghost tour, Liz, she told me that I looked at her and I was like, "Are you having fun yet?" And my eyes were black. And she's like, "Nope." She wouldn't even get in my truck. She would not get in my truck. She walked home. She's like, "I speed walked home. I almost ran home."
Honestly,
All I
I
rem
don't blame her. I would have done the same thing if your eyes were all black.
all I remember is on the way home, my Bluetooth speaker that was hooked up to my iPhone, which is clear all the time, you can hear everything crisp, kept going.
So like some sort
Which,
of interference mixing in with it.
yeah, and that never happens, never, ever, ever. And it's never happened again.
Hmm, that's strange. I wonder if it's like tapped into whatever energy maybe was floating around, trying to
Yeah.
manifest itself into that, and you're picking up the vibrations or frequencies of it.
Yeah, it probably attached itself to me and was trying to communicate somehow. Let me know it was there.
Now, this is a could be considered a loaded question, but what do you think the paranormal side actually is? Do you believe that they're spirits from people? Do you believe they're energies from something else? Like with your investigations and everything else, what is it that you're actually thinking you're communicating with?
I can actually see spirits. Uh, it's hard to explain. When you see your family members or people that had passed away a long time ago and you look at pictures later on and you're like, "I seen that person." And you've never seen that person before, except it was a client's person. You've never seen a picture of them until after you've seen that person. It's it's crazy. I've seen demons. I've seen go ahead men. I've seen orbs. I've communicated with a lot. I've communicated with good spirits, bad spirits, demonic spirits.
How can you tell the difference between like a good spirit, a bad spirit, and like demonics? Like you said, you saw demons. What makes them stand out different from a different spirit?
If they show themselves, usually the way they look or the way they morph, some of them are shapeshifters. Um, Usually the energy that I feel, I can usually tell the difference between if they're good or bad.
I know, like with depictions from what everyone says, like angels or angelic beings look like they didn't really, if you go back in biblical terms, they didn't actually look like humans. They were like a bunch of eyeballs and wings and everything. Like if you actually see like the, so that's why I was kind of wondering. You said you saw demons. I don't think demons are supposed to look like normal humans either. So I didn't know what you were actually seeing, like what the shapes were, what they looked like.
Well, I've seen a man with a goat head, but it was like a goat with hooves, a manador basically. I've seen little like creatures. I've seen actual human looking spirits like my mom and like the the guy from the site down the road in Delavan from the 1950s.
Mhm.
But I can usually tell by the energy. And like I told Alex when we were there, I felt a really weird energy, especially when you told me that we had to come back on a full moon.
Yeah, things are strange.
Yeah, the full moon thing coming back then, it seems if it's communicating with you, wants you to come back at a specific time frame or whatever, that is a little strange to me.
Well, we kind of figured as if it might have been trying to set us up, possibly.
And we're just stupid enough to fall for it.
Yeah, and of course we went back, but
Yeah.
we weren't super prepared for it, so we didn't get a chance to really do a good investigation. But we're looking to go back on another full moon one of these days.
Yeah. We're gonna do it and get permission from the homeowners and get going on that. There's a couple other places I want to get done, but you got to jump through hoops. Every investigation, you got to jump through hoops unless people come to you. Otherwise, if you want to do a place, you got to ask that person. You got to jump through all the hoops. Like when I did the ghost tour, for every park, I had to go to the Parks and Rec. For every building, I had to go to that building owner. It's different every time.
And some people don't want to be part of it, and
Yeah.
they think you're a little crazy sometimes.
Or people are scared. People are scared to reach out because other people think they're crazy.
That could be that too.
That is the stigma that comes with the territory of paranormal.
Yes.
That's why I named the podcast the reason it is. Like everyone says, "Oh, you're making fun of people." I was like, no, literally, tinfoil hat. People think you wear a tinfoil hat, you're a crazy person, and I want to kick that stigma because this podcast branches out. It doesn't just do paranormal; it does do conspiracy. It does do cryptid encounters. Anything that people experience is outside the realm of normal, and you're afraid to talk about it because you don't want to be labeled as lunatic, essentially, because these type of topics are taboo still. They're not as bad as they used to be, but a lot of
Oh
people are
yeah,
still
more.
afraid to come forward with it.
When I talk about how I could feel things, see spirit, see things, and all that stuff, some people look at me like I'm nuts. They really do.
The first thing that people would think of, and not to sound like a jerk or anything about it, but like when you start saying you see things, it's not the first thing that I would think, and I'm not going to speak for everyone else, but like, I wonder if this person's schizophrenic because that's the first thing that we're like, it's in our brain and programmed to be like, this person talks to spirits. They see spirits while they're talking to the average person. You're just talking to yourself. So they're looking at it as like, well, there's something wrong with that person without actually
Yeah.
without actually thinking or taking into the fact that maybe there's not something wrong. You're just able to do that. And I'm not trying to discredit people that have schizophrenia because that's obviously a real thing too. But it makes you wonder, like back in the old times, how many people were diagnosed with these disorders that maybe weren't really having the disorder. Maybe they were actually being able to communicate with the other side.
Exactly. Exactly.
That is an interesting point right there for sure.
Yeah. Just like witches. People always thought people were witches and hung of, and they could have been just normal people. Normal
Back
everyday people.
back in the old days, if you were a witch, you were getting burnt.
Yep.
Burned at the
Yep.
stake, even if you didn't do anything wrong. If you were just accused of being a witch, you're automatically a witch because if you denied it, you were a witch too. So you're kind of
Yeah,
you're damned if you do and damned if you don't.
exactly.
The same thing happened in France for the werewolf trials, I believe, in the 1600s or the 1700s. I forget what years it was, but the people were being accused of being werewolves, and if you denied being a werewolf, you were burnt too. Hung and burnt.
Yeah, no
It'd
doubt.
be like, I'm a werewolf. Don't hang and burn me. I admitted it. I admitted it.
Yeah, if you
Then they get to
listen,
take.
so if you listen to the old stories and accounts of stuff like that, and you read history, it's kind of brutal.
Oh yeah, People are rough from what they didn't understand back in the day.
And today we don't burn people at the stake. We just lock them in institutions, I guess.
Yes,
Here you go. Have some medication.
Yeah.
It's sad to laugh at it, but that's just, yeah.
Pump them full of medications or lock them in an institution and then just keep them
Yep.
drugged up. That's the way societies went. We went from setting people on fire to just pumping them full of drugs.
I'm sorry, I don't mean to laugh, but it kind of sounds a little.
Yeah, it's sad.
It's
what we
sad,
come
but
to.
It's a sad, morbid thing, and it does. I'm not trying to make a joke of it, but it's kind of a dark sense of humor, I guess I have. That's like that's.
I know
how-
that's why I kind of laughed. I kind of have a dark sense of humor too.
Helps get you through the day.
Yeah. When you do stuff like this, for the most part, I'm pretty serious when it comes to the show. But if anyone actually knows me outside of this, I'm not that serious of a person. I make jokes all the time,
Yeah,
and
it's hard to get through life without it.
We got
Yeah.
you.
so it's like sometimes topics they're so into whatever that I don't say a whole lot because I know people are really going through the ringer with coming even forward to talk about this stuff. So I let them speak. But then there's other times where it's like a little bit of more of a lighthearted conversation. I think is good here and there, especially when it's not always Debbie Downer type topics. And there's a lot of things we get into that's like, I don't want to call them controversial, but like some people have some traumatic experiences or whatever. And I don't want to try and be all lighthearted in here when they're going through the shit, you know?
Oh yeah.
Yeah. You don't want to make a joke at the wrong time.
No. I think I always make the joke myself in real life that I have great comedic timing. So I know when to make a joke, and then there's those opportunities that I know this is a very bad time to make a joke, but I'll do it anyways. And then it usually never it falls pretty flat or it just rubs people the wrong way. I'm like, hey, sometimes you just gotta break the monotony of the crap that's going on and make light of it, I guess.
Jesus. Yeah, if you sit there and just dwell on if all you look for is the bad things, all you're gonna find are the bad things.
Yeah, totally.
Gotta smile and crack a joke once in a while.
Can't go through life completely being serious. So anyone out there listening, if you think I'm the radio voice guy with the seriousness, I might have the radio sounding voice, but it's I'm pretty dumb and jokey.
That helps.
No, I say radio voice because I've been doing a couple things here and there. People have been giving me crap that I have such a soothing radio voice or something like that. And I was like, what? So it's like,
I'm getting sleepy.
106.1 Lullaby Station.
There you go.
no.
Coming at you live.
What I sound like in my head, I don't actually sound like when I record. So it's weird when I actually listen back to myself because I don't like listening to my own voice. I think it sounds weird because it's not what I'm used to hearing.
Oh, you're not the only one.
I know I sound so weird recorded than I do.
First couple times I was like, that's how I sound. And everyone's like, yeah. And I'm like, why didn't you tell me that?
No, right.
Well, is there anything else you'd like to discuss before we get to the point to wrap this one up? Because before we wrap it up, I want everyone to be able to where they can reach you guys at, and if they have anything for you to investigate. But I want to give you some time here to anything else you'd like to discuss.
I just gotta say, if you think you have something that you can't explain and you want somebody to try to explain it, we can do our best to help out. Reach out.
Or if you're having problems with the paranormal world and you think it's paranormal world, or you don't know if it's paranormal world, stuff is flying around, you're having bad vibes, something's messing with you, give us a call, email us. Our phone number is 262-379-4980. And a lot of people do think people that have paranormal problems are crazy, but we don't think you're crazy. We know you need help, and that's what we're here to do. We're here to help you.
We'll talk about the website too. Yeah,
we've got a website on we also have a Facebook group. Our website is HTTP, whatever, however you do that. Sorry, it's been a long day. tinajaninga.wixsite.com/Phantom Paranormal. And then my email is Tina phantomparanormal@yahoo.com. Like I said, we're on Facebook group as Phantom Paranormal. I'm also on Facebook as Tina Anderson. I'm also on Instagram, Phantom Paranormal. I'm also on Instagram as Tina Anderson or Tina Leanne 5311.
Whatever
Lots of ways
social
to find
medias and
us.
links you have, you can send it to me in an email, and I will include it all in the show notes. For anyone listening that would want to reach out, they can just go into the show notes and click a link and take it right to you.
Perfect.
Yeah, and we don't judge anybody. We're here for everybody.
Now, just to clarify, when you do investigations, I know some people, everyone does it for free, but I didn't know if that's something that, I won't say everyone. I know there's other people out there that they charge for their investigations. Is that something that, depending on the situation, how do you go about doing that?
We went to Oklahoma City for free. We basically haven't charged yet, but if people are willing to donate a little bit for gas money, we won't say no to that.
Yeah, if you're yeah, we get tips sometimes, which helps a lot with like gas money, and because we do travel out of state. We're getting ready to go out west, so I mean, we really don't charge, but some people do tip us because of what we do. We take our time, we get everything done thoroughly. If they need stuff cleansed or they need to be cleansed, I do that. I get everything done. We make sure we do everything thoroughly, properly, through all the stuff. I let them know what's going on, what happened. I let them hear the EVPs, let them see the stuff, the cameras, if there's anything on the cameras, so it's a lot of work, but we do it because we want to help people. We don't do it for the money.
Oh yeah, helping people's the main thing. Make sure they can sleep at night.
Now, I just wanted to make sure anyone listening, if you're interested, I do recommend you tip whoever you bring out because, again, people do take their time to come out and try and help other people. So if you have a means of helping out, throwing some money here for gas, helping for their time, I know it's much appreciated by anyone that comes out and does this, especially when they're doing it for free.
Oh heck yeah.
Oh yeah.
It makes you feel a little bit more appreciated. You know what I mean? It just the thank yous help out, but it's like, oh here, oh cool. We don't have to put all our own money into this and trying to help people. We do it anyway, but it is nice to be thanked like that.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Regardless though, it's truly rewarding to help people get through what they're going through and to help them get rid of whatever they need to get rid of.
That's kind of why I do this podcast too, is I know what it's like not to talk about things because, again, the whole stigma of being labeled crazy. And I wanted to give a place for people to come on here and talk about this stuff because I never felt like I could talk about what happened with me. So I want people to be able to come on here and feel safe enough to share what happened with them and not be judged or ridiculed or anything like that. And if it helps someone, it helps me. It's kind of a win-win. When I listen to other people talk about what happened to them, it makes me feel not so crazy. And then when people come on here, maybe someone else listening, they're like, oh, I experienced that too. And it helps them. You know what I'm saying? Like the whole thing for me is almost therapeutic in a sense.
Oh yeah.
Yeah.
Just sometimes people believing you in what you're going through and not just like looking at you like you're crazy. Just believing somebody, helping them get it off their chest helps out.
Yeah.
Or having them feel like they're not alone.
Oh yeah.
Yeah. No, I agree with that. That's, like I said, that's why I wanted to do this podcast to an extent, was I wanted people to be able to come on here and not feel like they're the only ones that have had to deal with some of the crazy things that go on in the world.
Oh yeah. That's a good thing.
Yeah, definitely.
Well, guys, I appreciate you coming on here tonight and talking with me. Again, anyone listening, if you would like to reach out to Tina and Alex or Phantom Paranormal, you can find all that information in the show notes. But again, I want to say thanks. It's been a
Well, thank
pleasure.
you.
Thanks for having us. It was fun.
Yep, been my pleasure. But we're going to go ahead now and wrap this one up. So thanks for listening, and good night, everyone.
Good night.
Good night.
Remember, the truth lies in the stories we share, the connections we make. Stay curious, stay open-minded. Thank you all for joining us on this journey, and until next time, keep questioning, keep seeking, and keep exploring the unknown. Good night, everyone.